on the same page about the capricious nature of your seemingly immortal patron. And when tensions ran high, Saigar was the one who at last exploded about his pent-up feelings towards Shireen, the psychic warforged who had demonstrated nothing but hostility against all of you and was still lying deactivated in a small room. Well, Galad calmly pointed out that her powers would have little to no effect on him as one of the Eladrin. The fractures in the group grew larger as this was ignored, and Saigar and Morgaine continued to snap at each other, calling them short-sighted, making foolish choices. And in the end, nothing was decided. Karna wound up recuperating the hospital with Warren's bloodied hands trembling due to his inexperience with literal surgery, and only time would tell if it had worked and she would in fact walk again. But in your kingdom itself, meanwhile, Saigar had taken some executive action. He had demanded the immediate stop of wealth from being poured into Vale's chasm, and he even descended himself with a few others into the depths to retrieve as much of it as he could, which admittedly, while not a lot, came to an immediate stop when there was no further plan on how to redistribute it, and public opinion turned and led to widespread unrest. But before we discuss Erie's creative solutions, and I pass the floor to Morgaine for like 5 minutes, a long time, Galadriel and Warren, what did you put the builders of the kingdom to work on?
It only seems natural, especially with a showboat like Galadriel. And in the midst of all the fucking chaos happening and the fact that we'll have new people, nothing gets people together like some fucking shit to eat. We're making the feasting hall.
Ooh. Fantastic. I will go ahead and add that to the sheet. I actually don't have that PDF brought up currently. Can you tell me what the bonuses are for that one if you happen to have it available?
Sure, let me open the PDF.
Nice.
I got it.
One
It's a loyalty and a happiness. Yeah.
That seems really shitty.
It's its upgrade that's really good.
I have modified your sheet. Your loyalty is 2. Your happiness is now 3, which is a lot lower than it was a while ago.
Thanks, Vale.
Wait, our happiness is what was it before?
It was 4.
Oh,
I think it dropped. Or 3, I don't remember. It was down there. You lost a bunch of happiness.
well, I knew we did. I didn't realize we dropped that much. Okay.
Yeah.
Mostly loyalty was the
mostly
big
loyalty.
one.
Yeah.
I think we only lost 1 happiness.
Indeed. Erie, you were tasked with putting a stop to the secret brush people that had hidden among your populace, at least according to a local bard. How did you decide to resolve that?
Well, I decided by just telling them what's actually happening with the people. And I'll try and gather up as many people I can and make an announcement. I don't know how that would go, but just bring all the people together and let them know that there aren't brush people. Those don't exist. The real reason that this is happening is because our trip to the Feywild to try to bring some diplomatic relations to the Fey kind of went very south, and now the Fey Queen is very pissed off, and this is her retribution against us. And the melting and burning and stuff is the result of Fey curses being passed to new people, to making them react to the cold iron.
Okay.
As a solution to that, for temporarily, until we can actually figure out a reasonable solution to keeping people safe from that, just having all people basically avoid using iron as a metal, armor, tools, anything like that for now. And if they do have to use things like handling nails or things like that, keep really thick leather gloves on, and any other tools can be replaced hopefully with either wooden ones or stone ones for the time being, or other metals that maybe we have, while we try and find a more permanent solution. And in the meantime, anybody who finds himself afflicted by such a curse, if they find that out, or have family members die of it or suffering from that, they have my express written permission at any time of the day to go seek out Kyvius and tell him all of their problems. He will listen to everything.
Wow. So I personally, first of all, you're great. That's a tough role for sure. But I think that I would personally flavor that to be basically like your own personal charisma in getting this message across, and probably just like the trust that people have in you, so either like loyalty or spiritualism, to understand the curse of the Feywild is not your fault. Would you agree with either of that?
Yeah, that works for me.
Okay. I feel like I would say charisma, spiritualism, if that was me personally.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. It is difficulty 13.
I got us backup loyalty just in case. I believe in you though.
1d20 plus 7?
That's pretty good. Oh, thank God.
It's okay, I had a limerick prepared just in case anyway.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Although I will say, probably no matter the outcome, I think we should probably lose some production.
I would certainly agree with you. The fact that everything is slowing down because you're not working with metal directly certainly does slow the kingdom down. But a lot of these people who have not understood what's going on before, to be told directly from somebody like you who they trust absolutely that it is in fact, and told not just like in passing, but in great detail, I imagine, to anybody who's curious what the Feywild is from somebody like you who would have firsthand experience and can tell them honestly, does wonders for rebuilding much of the loyalty that had been lost by Saigar previously. Things slow down, and you manage to avoid telling the truth that, like, it's Kyvius's, again, quote unquote, fault, because it's not really, if we're getting right down to it. But the Fey Queen being an adversary is something that at least they can understand more so than the people who were feeling a little fishy about the idea of it being tree people. It all checks out because, of course, it's true. Of course, it would.
Is this more like a transparency thing?
It certainly helps.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then I got a long one because Morgaine, you had taken precautions to ensure the three converging cities and their wildly different ideals would be able to like coexist in the same valley, and just to finally begin bringing some semblance of governance rather to Dokazur. And this is a long one because Kaz has spent many nights thinking about it. So I actually want to like just take a quick second here, longer than we normally would with this pregame stuff, to just really focus on him and his scene for a brief moment.
The first part here is Morgaine will want to gather the populace for a big speech. He isn't good at grand declarations, so it's not about him declaring that these nations will be fine, but he's better at personal speeches. So instead, he's going to tell them the story of him and how he got here. Of the child of High Helm that died in the Caw. Of the one that awoke within the Caw in what they see before him now. And has wandered the lands of the Caw, has seen the wonders of the Orderlands, seen the resoluteness of Irongast, and the bravery of Epitaph. His speech to the people isn't one of some high mighty calling, but it is to remind them that he isn't some esteemed figure, but just another person. That when adversary showed up against him, he refused to yield to it, and instead pushed forward. He reminds the people that it isn't the people that they should fear, but the ones that control them. The people of the Caw are just as you and I are. They want security for their family, safety of a future. They wish to go to sleep not hungry, and lie on a nice bed. Epitaph Iron Gast, High Helm, the Ka. Well, they're so diametrically opposed in policy, the people is the connecting force of them all. One of the roots that made High Helm and the Orderland strong in its history was not its protectionism and its fear of those that it did not understand. It was its incorporation of those. And it is based on that bedrock that Morgaine wishes to build again. Incorporate those of different beliefs and views to create not something that will frail with age or wither with a storm of doubt, but will strengthen and grow. He once put it towards the citizens that they are to climb, but not as one or a singular that they need to climb together. And looking out to the crowd, his last words of the speech is, "How have you climbed?"
Powerful. I don't want to go ahead and do a roll right there though, because there's a little bit more to it than that. Because after your speech, after you have retreated back to the manor house and you find yourself standing before a gorgeous geode table that has been brought to you and gifted by the Feywild, like it or not, and there is that soft evening light filtering through the window that illuminates the Fey desk and all of your notes upon it, the writings that you have scribbled and the connections drawn upon it, giving details that nobody else really understands or knows, because things that they don't have to think about because nobody else is you. You've been nominated by Irian, Kyvius, and Zygar and Warren to be the voice of the people. And at least to you, that means that they are allowed to go about their lives and allowing you to fulfill the larger, more complicated task of making sure that they're safe and sound. They don't need to fear famine or war or poverty, and that you'll take care of it. And as I understand it, Morgaine, you have come up with a fairly complicated system of governance that I'd love a few details about if you're willing to provide them.
Of course. So as he came back to the house and he laid out his plans, this is the how. And the government he lays out is of 3 values: pillars, the visionaries, and the moral bedrock of Docus; scholars, the specialist, and the intelligence of Docus; and finally, the governors of the Republic, the people. The pillars are responsible for laying out and enforcing the constitution of conduct for Docus. Operating and managing each pillar of society: Voice, Lord of Coin, Grandmaster, Warren, Thane. They operate within the laws approved by the Republic to best serve the people of Docus. They cannot propose laws, and may only lobby the scholars to propose laws they deem as necessary. The scholars, the specialists in the intelligence of Docus, they are responsible for new laws that fall within their scope of responsibility. May hear the opinions of both the Republic and the pillars, but under oath are to stay impartial and ensure that all the laws proposed are for the benefit of Docus. They are also to oversee and manage their appointed area of expertise, operating much like a pillar with a narrower field of view and influence. The governors of the Republic, the people, are responsible for voting on all laws proposed by the scholars, bound and sworn under the Constitution of Conduct, responsible for clarifying the laws of the nation should there ever be conflict, even pushing them back to the scholars to rewrite them and repropose them should that conflict not be resolved. And the last is the appointment of them. Pillars are appointed through nomination. They are nominated by 2 other pillars. The nomination needs to be agreed upon by a majority of the scholars that reside under the pillar's influence, and once agreed upon by the scholars, must be voted in via a majority of the Republic of Governors.
So to stop you for a split second there, the pillars, of course, referencing the 6 of you, does that mean that your positions are tenuous, I guess, if for lack of a better word? Vote, like a no confidence vote can be taken basically at any point in time.
Yes.
Okay.
I was just going to go on to the
Go ahead.
removal. So the removal, a vote of no confidence from the other pillars, the passing of a declaration of retirement initiated by the scholars and passed by the governors with a 70% majority, or found guilty of violating the Constitution of Conduct. The scholars are appointed by a government-run tournaments to display aptitude in the designated field, overseen by governors and pillars to ensure the validity of the victor and adherence to the Constitution of Conduct. Positions are created at the discretion of the pillars, but need to be approved by the governors. The removal of a scholar is when one is found in violation of the Constitution of Conduct, or if there is a vote of no confidence by the governors. Governors, the governors of the Republic, are appointed by the people. Each sentient race is given 1 governor position that they are to appoint a peer to. Removal, a vote of no confidence from their electorate, or by a pillar after being found guilty of violating the Constitution of Conduct. And upon reading this out, Morgaine will address the group and say, This isn't High Helms. This isn't the Cause. This isn't Epitaphs. This isn't even Iron Gas. This is all of them. All of their strengths into one system. But what binds that system, and what is core to it, is morals and values. Those are the guiding principle of the kingdom we are to raise. And that is what we need to discern and decide upon as new pillars of this nation.
Is it possible you would be willing to go ahead and put that into Discord at some point in time?
Yeah, I'm actually doing it right now.
Fantastic. And I feel it's almost a little inappropriate to have you just like roll some dice after all of that, but it's a lot for the people of your nation, and I would love. Basically, I in this particular case, I hate to say it, I feel like it's either an intelligence or probably more accurately a wisdom roll to have developed this complicated system, and then probably in combination with like the kingdom's education to really understand it and put it forth.
Okay, just get me 2 seconds to put it into Discord for us.
Yeah. But as I've mentioned a couple of times, of course, if you had a different vision in your head for how it should be rolled, I am certainly completely open to that. Although I feel like
I like wisdom.
Education, wisdom.
There's a lot of ways something so broad could be related to kingdom stats. Not that education's bad.
And I think that because it is so well thought out. It's difficulty 10, and if you are successful, which should be relatively easy, I will even provide an additional bonus on top of the normal, like +1. Because of course this is the big thing.
All I want in my heart is to help, but I know I can't because it's a kingdom event. Oh, I just have to watch.
Okay,
Man,
so
they
I gotta
really
just
do stress
figure-
you out, WoW, don't they? Kingdom events really stress you out.
I have trouble like listening to the whole event. Like I have trouble keeping my headphones on the whole time. I'm just fucking white knuckled. They really get me. Oh,
Plus, so then 3. What's our kingdom stat for intelligence?
Education is
2.
2.
We big
2.
dumbs.
Okay. Okay, so
we have
that's
2,
going to
you
be
said
my
0.
wisdom plus education. Hopefully this works the first time I don't have to rewrite it.
Yeah.
I gotta get up.
Yeah. the biggest thing that you get about all of this is that even before people fully understand your plan, you can understand that there's a ripple of excitement. Your words have really created that feeling of true inclusivity in this nation, which is all anybody had ever hoped for, and such a far cry away from sort of the nationalism of High Helm and the standoffishness of Epitaph previously. And you've really touched on sort of a central, deep feeling that all of these nations had wanted previously, the idea of true, genuine cooperation across what used to be the Brave Lands and the Order Lands, but now here in this valley. In addition to the fact that, holy shit, first of all, I love all of that. I'm looking forward to rereading that article multiple times, and I love it. It gives me fucking butterfly tinglies as a GM. The fact that people have so much inherent trust in one another upon arriving in your kingdom means that a vast new population that just shows up is actually able to make immediate progress, and your borders extend further as the intermingling of people does not just like break off into small little camps of the cliche groups of people from their own nations as before. And further, having already heard how good it's going to be when places like Epitaph and Iron Gas finally do arrive in your nation, they are going to come bring some additional gifts as mentioned. But that aside, that brings us back to the present. If I can scroll through a million maps in a kind of timely fashion.
We don't have to keep playing the session. I'm good. We can go home.
Although this might be spoilers, Warren, this is like wow, it's like looking through a book and check forward to the ending. Maybe we'll see some maps.
Oh yeah, it could be some juice.
I gave us our first expansion.
You did.
We have a point in everything now.
Oh, hang on for a second. I gotta get the cat off the keyboard. Hold up.
I didn't think we were ever going to get any points in that. Oh, that was fucking wonderful.
I'm a bit giddy.
Yeah.
She's super cute. When I get the webcam going, you'll get to see her. The cat's not
Aw.
fighting, which is fantastic. So, there's been a meeting set up that evening after the announcements with your patron, let's call him for lack of a better word. And you can see the faint but steady glow of the distant stars glowing from beyond the howl, the light never truly reaching the cursed lands of Rios, nor the archer Pew Pew, as you all make your way up this overlook towards the city. And as you do so, you can hear the familiar humming of your good friend Vale Draxon and his very familiar song as you get close. Was
that the hamster song?
It's not.
We're not stopping him.
and and at your arrival, he turns with that big, familiar, happy smile on his face once more and says, "We sure do a lot of talking and not a lot of running a kingdom, huh?"
I think we've made some good progress on that.
Well, what did you want to talk to me about? Other than probably wanting to apologize, I imagine.
I don't feel we can say we're sorry, but I don't think that's a good move forward. Meaning, I don't think it does you a lot of good without action. So instead, I think it's more important that we come to you with a problem that we are facing and we want to seek your advice.
I would love that. But if it helps, I wanted to apologize to you.
Vale, I don't think I think you touched on it when we were having our fight. We don't understand each other well enough. And I think we do need to do that. I think we need to come to understand you
Yes.
and you us. I don't think either side, and this might sound rude, has anything to apologize for, because I think everyone here is for the betterment of the people and this kingdom. And I think that worry is what got us heated in the first place.
I completely agree.
So let's instead of saying sorry, why don't we build? And why don't we move forward through an act of trust and understanding as we continue this?
He claps his webbed paws together, and for the first time, you're like, they're moist. Why are they moist? And he says, "Yes, that would make me so very happy."
So,
Yeah,
well, I guess I'm sorry.
when I sat down and thought about it, we are just sort of showing up as your, part of your project you've been working on for who knows how many years. It makes sense you're a little defensive about something you put so much time into.
Or it's not just that. You and Eerie and Saigar and Kyvius, and you're the only people that I can trust with everything. You know my hopes and my dreams, and the absolute truth about everything. And when you tell me that I'm a monster, or I'm withholding information, or manipulating you, it's heartbreaking. It makes me furious. And sometimes I could get so angry I could just hurt something. After everything
Yeah.
I've done for the people of this island, I don't want to be dismissed like I'm some kind of lunatic.
Do you often get these feelings of anger that you want to hurt something?
They're easier to control when you're a small little bullywug. You can't really hurt anything. Sometimes I throw a rock very far.
Well, if anyone else has anything before we get to the task at hand.
I don't know. Yeah, it helped to talk. I'm kind of used to this way of things going. Where I come from, conflict is the first sign of moving forward. When there's silence and there's no conflict, people start to worry. So, hopefully that's what this is.
Well, I'm not sure if you've noticed, Vale, but the Fey forest off in our lands has withered. And we've also had a number of people die through what could only be described as melting.
Well,
And
only a few.
yeah, but we don't know where it stops.
And also, life is precious. Like you can't dismiss it simply as only a few.
No, you're right. It's just your species breeds very quickly. You can make more in the span of a few years.
Okay, we need to. We'll talk about how that might be insensitive to us, but putting that aside,
It's not insensitive. It's practical.
Okay, like I said, understanding a little later. Is with Kyvius can explain the details, but at the end of the day, we are at odds with the Fae Queen.
Yeah, she doesn't like us.
And it's because of our actions that this curse has fallen upon the people we've been sworn to protect.
Yes, it's very serious.
That's why we're coming to you. Maybe we could come up with an answer, but but it would be at the expense of possibly hundreds, if not thousands, of lives. And I'm not sure where your knowledge begins or where it ends. But would you know anything or have any advice on how we could possibly start managing this? Because we need to take responsibility for it.
I agree. When I heard your speech earlier about not working with metal, I thought, does that include silver or mithrils or golds? But then I realized it doesn't matter. Any delay in progress is terrible. So I thought about it, and I have a suggestion. What if, and I think this is probably, you'll agree this is the best suggestion, really. The Ka still knows me as Adeptus Welk. I will contact them, make sure that they leave your city alone for a time period, and that will give you ample opportunity to focus, first and foremost, on this Fae Queen and her kingdom beyond the Veil, to send your armies, to send a message. With the Ka no longer being at your borders, you'll have plenty of time to deal with her.
I don't think our armies are capable of sending a message compared to hers.
What if they took me?
What would that
That's
accomplish?
not something I'd be comfortable with or want.
Well, it would solve the problem, and that's what you asked for.
No, and don't take pushback on it. We're valuing your advice. The fact that you would take the Ka off the plate for a period of time that would allow us to focus solely on this is already amazing.
You're right. I'm being defensive again. You know what they say about dragons, can't hide our flame.
The Adeptus Welk thing is a fucking brilliant idea that would save a lot of our problems in the first place, actually.
But it's, I think, to Erie's point, if we want to be moral pillars of this society for it to be built on, we need to first be the example of that. And if our first actions are to storm into someone which we have wronged and have retaliated, but send you an unimaginable force to bring them to their knees,
He nods.
we're not those pillars or morals. And if we crumble under this, how can we hold the weight of time?
Okay, I get it. New plan. If the Feywild is separated from this world, what if we strengthened the barrier between the worlds so that the curse couldn't affect here? I don't know much magic myself, but I know of a place that has spell books and might know ways to do things like that, and I could go there and get something.
You mean like the library?
Warren starts to salivate.
He gives you like a excited look for a second, then he wipes off his face like it's a big secret, then he looks stern and says, yes.
I don't
That's-
know.
Sorry. Yeah. What were you?
I was just about to say I don't. Right, that sounds like a good step forward, but Kyvius, Warren, you guys are in Erie. You guys tend to be the experts at this area.
It's theoretically sort of feasible. The barrier between realms is not something I know that much about, but we're talking about a place where the existence of the Forged might have come from. This knowledge could exist there. It's certainly possible. Or even if it doesn't have the exact thing we're looking for, it could have a lot of things that would be very helpful to our situation.
Or Kyvius could just learn how to use that eyeball better, but that might be asking a lot for a human, a tiefling.
I was gonna say, Master Bullywug, don't insult me. I mean, if you have anything to teach me, obviously I am a willing vessel when it comes to knowledge. As for the plan, I think there's merit in both of your suggestions. I think you present an unstoppable force by which you could certainly send a message that our civilization is not to be trifled with. And on the other hand, there's also something to be said about the repercussions of doing something like solidifying the barriers between our realities that could have potentially unintended consequences. I can think of a possible byproduct or two that might affect some of the things that the people around us are capable of doing.
Oh, you mean Erie would die? Maybe.
Yeah, or even me just kind of stepping through the Feywild and coming back,
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So, I think I think first off, I'm glad we came to talk to you about this because they're both creative solutions that have their own strengths and weaknesses. I'm much more interested in the more defensive second option, but if you had a resource of knowledge where we could potentially study and learn more about what the possible repercussions could be, I think that sounds like the one that raises the most questions that we could maybe answer through study and knowledge.
Well, it's good that you brought that up, because I was thinking that I was a little upset last time you went off and didn't say anything. But obviously, I shouldn't be, because you're curious about these lands, and who can fault you for that? A wise king knows his realm like Saigar knows his every imperfection. I understand that. So you should get to go and adventure. And maybe if I was to go north to the never-ending blizzard that you can't go through, of course, and find this book, maybe a few days apart would give me a chance to think about your mistakes and forgive you, and we'll both come back to this relationship with new ideas and a better appreciation for one another. I think it's a good idea. And I was thinking maybe before I left, you could do me a few small favors to show that you are sorry. Just like Morgaine said, show it instead of say it, right?
What sort of favors?
When you say small favors, your perspective is very different from ours. All right, I'm interested. Tiny. All right.
For the first favor, I would like Morgaine to use that helmet that I gave him to call all of the people to Dokasur for a little mini speech. It's why we're on this little ledge, so they can see us.
I've been getting better at those.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Done.
That seems pretty straightforward.
Okay, you should do that now.
Wait. How about the other favors first?
it will take some time for them to get here, and let's not waste time.
I'm. This is one of my failures. Is I'm not really good at
I know, Morgaine.
Out of the
Please
blue
trust me as your
speech.
friend.
Okay, I will trust you. It's not a not trust. I'm just nervous.
I
Sorry.
understand.
Okay. And without having to shout, he is going to use the helm to call the people to the ledge for a proclamation.
Yep. And he beams excitedly at you. You can kind of see, like, way below that there are folks milling towards the ledge now. And as they start getting closer, he looks back at all of you and says, I have been waiting for this day a very, very long time. Hundreds of lives saved. The wars will be over. Everything this island could have possibly ever wanted or needed, and I'm so glad that none of you are having second thoughts. I was worried for a little while.
That we wouldn't want to take part in this kingdom?
Right.
Why wouldn't we want to?
Because when people learn the truth about me, they sometimes behave erratically.
The difference between us and most people is we want to understand you and where you're coming from instead of just lashing out.
You don't plan to reveal what you really are to all the people, do you?
No, but I'm going to help you reveal who you really are.
Who are we?
You're in charge.
This is a setup.
I kind of look over to Kyvius, just a small twitch of my eye, and I'm not sure if Kyvius catches it or not, but...
Kyvius, and you see Kyvius is sweating right now.
Nope.
He goes over to a nearby bush and starts rummaging.
You should all get up here. This is the difference, is this isn't a privileged, this isn't a position that we take on for ourselves. This is an obligation and a responsibility to them. So we need to show them
Yes,
we're stepping up to that responsibility.
very true. And as you can see that the majority of Docus Ur has gathered at the base, Vale continues, and he's got his hands full of something. It's like there's a beautiful silk satchel that he's got like holding in his hands, and he says, "So I just want you to promise me, and mean it, that we're going to work together on this."
Yes.
Great.
For Docus.
We can.
Morgaine, I heard what you said earlier about the pillars and the scholars, and it's crazy, but it just might work. But I thought maybe that diluted the message a little bit about everything. So I wanted to help you make sure that, despite everything, it stays clear. Your vision, my vision, together. So my second favor is that you don't just tell me that we're going to work together on this, you're going to tell them. And he opens the satchel and dumps out what's within, and come tumbling out are 5 golden crowns laden with gemstones, and a 6th one larger than the rest, designed for Morgaine's head. And he beams at you excitedly with his present on the ground to show you. They're too far away to hear, but I thought a coronation was in order to celebrate the new kingdom.
Is there something a little less ostentatious? I understand what you're trying to do. I kind of trail off at that point.
You don't like it?
Because this isn't for us, Saigar. This is for them.
It fits the Oh no, when you think about it, and you think about the statement that Morgaine's made as pillars, I understand. Because it's not about...
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
I know. It's not, I know. It's not about us becoming royalty. It's about us making a declaration that we're going to help in a way that's easily recognizable. I understand what you're saying. Believe me, I lived on Epitaph for 10 years.
I just wish there was some other way to demonstrate this, because the problem is symbols like this corrupt. We've seen it happen all too often. How many times have we seen this happen? I feel like we're repeating the cycle. I know we have good intention, Morgaine. Don't get me wrong. We heard your speech. I get it. The principles are all solid in foundation. But how many times have we seen symbols like this corrupt people? And not just that, it's just the principles behind it, right? It's how people perceive it too. That we are somehow above or greater than them.
The symbols are what we put into them, Saigar. I think.
I know, but you have to also remember this is the life I came from. This is what I was trying so hard in my life to avoid, and I feel I'm being brought back down the same path again.
At the end of the day, what's going to protect the people from that fate is not an individual not wearing a crown, because you don't need to wear a crown to be ruthless or mean or hold power over anyone else. There are plenty of those that do without. The purpose of wearing this is to show that we are under obligation.
Exactly. Don't you agree, Kyrius?
I hear where you're coming from, Morgaine. I really do. Don't get me wrong here.
Take it. Sorry.
Oh no, sorry. You guys were talking.
Take it as an opportunity to redefine the symbol instead of letting it define you.
That's so good. Warren, that's why you're my third favorite.
Third? I've moved
Yes.
up. I think I was further down the list before.
I guess, Kyvius, this is, I guess, a bit personal to me, but it starts with a question. What do you think strong means? And this isn't, this, just before you get afraid here, it isn't accusatory. It's just, what do you think the definition of strong is?
He asks us of Kyvius?
Oh, pardon me, Saigar.
I was like, what?
Sorry. That was a bad slip.
I was gonna be like, what?
Yeah. Sorry. He looks at Saigar and it's what do you think the definition of strong means?
To me, strength is not about might. I mean, do I look like a very strong person? It's not about raw power, raw strength. It's about character of some kind. It's about the ability to be able to stand up for what you feel is right. And if I take that same stance, Morgaine, right now, this goes against everything I stand for.
And
well, Saigar, you're going to have to stand for something new for us to work together.
Thank you, Vale. But Saigar, you prove once again why we're friends. Because I believe the exact same thing. But to them, those people down there, and like across Rios and definitely in the Ka, strong means strength. It means the power to dominate and destroy. I want to change that to, just as you said, strong meaning more. And being a symbol. To be strong isn't to hold strength or magical power. Strong is something you aspire to but never obtain. This is what I want to do with these. I don't want them to be a representation of what we're. I want us to change them what they mean. Because when we do, we change it for everyone else that wears one.
Partly what I'm doing even in my role, I became an extremely powerful, one day, military leader to stop war, not to win it. To change the symbol of what it means to fight on the island.
Well, that's one of the reasons why you guys made me Master of Coin. I want to stop wealth and abundance, but right now the trust in the people is low in us. When we've just reclaimed wealth and I don't even have a plan of action how to properly distribute it, we go and put a crown on. How is that going to look to everyone? Has anyone
Sagar,
probably think about that?
I don't want to interrupt you, but it's important that we think about how it looks to people because they are gathered at the bottom of a hill looking at us right now. You don't want to keep your people waiting. If it helps.
While everyone is talking,
yeah.
I would just like to, as surreptitiously as possible, reach out with like my magical senses to see if the crowns are magical.
Sorry, you can ignore that.
Yeah, right.
Go ahead and roll Arcana.
Can ignore that. Yeah, sure thing.
Yeah, his plus 23 to perception. I'm sure you didn't notice.
What the fuck is that?
That's my fucking computer going crazy. It's why I'm on the fucking ground right now.
Actually, I was wondering about that.
Yep. That's why you can't see me. I'm underneath my desk right now.
25.
So they can see you. They do not appear to be magical.
Okay, thank you.
Thinking on that Zygar Veil, I have a request because
Is this not working?
Nope, you're good.
Oh, okay.
Hey.
Veil, I have a request because I assume you're gonna say some words.
I like what you said about action speaking louder than words. I can be quiet.
No. In all respect, I think you deserve a voice. But I want it to be one that doesn't raise us above the people. I do believe what I said. We are pillars. We are the moral bedrock. We are what the nation's built upon. We are not atop the nation.
We're what hold it up, not the other way around, right? We don't stamp on people.
I agree.
And I want, if possible, when you do the ceremony.
I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to let them see it. Look at the little one that you made for Eerie.
I'm actually surprised you got it to look that good being that small.
Well, I didn't actually make them.
Okay.
There's been a lot of other nations in the past. These are the ones that match the best.
Where are they from?
Okay, a little getting into...
it's not important.
The world is literally waiting.
Exactly. Zygar, listen. Every bit of important progress throughout history has always getting touted as being controversial while your species gets used to the idea of change. In time, you're going to be heralded as visionaries and heroes, I promise.
That's not what I want.
What you want is to be the leader of this land like you told me when we first set out. And this is part of that.
Being put on a pedestal is not what we were looking forward to. I can't speak for everybody else, but definitely not me.
This isn't being put on a pedestal, Zygar.
Pedestals, pillars, what's the difference? And he holds out the tiny crown for Eerie.
This is about making sure they can see us, so they can hold us accountable. We can't rule or help them from the shadows anymore.
Let me just try and get this around my halo.
Yeah, Morgaine will go into... Which one's mine? Is it this little one?
No, it's the big giant one in the middle!
Okay, I'll see if I can... This is made for a round head.
It doesn't fit.
It fits perfectly, Eerie.
Similar to my nightcap from years ago, actually.
I was worried it was going to be a little gauche for you, but I'm glad you're okay to slum it a little bit with these ones.
Not at all.
Nightcap. All right, let me just get one of these motherfuckers.
To the ledge here, so then when you move the crown, it's in its right position.
It's a good idea. Glad's happy face really gets me.
Everyone else can wear their crown.
Glad can. His head's fucking huge. Look at that.
Whoops.
Why is your head gigantic,
I have
Glad?
no idea.
Like, that's a real question.
Just give him the tiny one.
Nothing to do with ego.
There you go.
Oh, that's perfect.
Oh
That's
my
exactly how you
God.
wear it.
He hands one to you with both hands, Kyvia, smiling the entire time.
Motherfucker. I
know.
Kyvius plops it right onto his head.
I know. It's like the best thing we can do is take this imagery and turn it around. I don't know how to run from it.
And then he holds out the last one to you, Saigar, and he's smiling the entire time. Everybody else has done it. Just you, Saigar.
I grab the crown in my hand and I kind of look at it.
He claps, and the weight of the gold brings back a slew of memories. You, of course, had spent years rather, saving people, turning down rewards, rather sleeping out in the stables or out in the wilderness than ever take a single copper piece or a silver piece. And now here you were being given a sapphire and gemstone encrusted crown to adorn upon your head for the rest of your life? It seemed that way. You know down there in the crowd somewhere is your family, your father, Lord Glaren himself, who will look up at you probably with pride for the very first time.
Still holding it in my hand, I'm going to walk over here.
Warren, sort of, just in those couple moments, walks over to Saigar. I know we don't always see eye to eye, but regardless of anything that happens with this or whatever, I won't let anything interfere with your ability to make a difference. Neither of us want to become what we grew up around, even if our paths are different.
So, at this point in time, Warren, I'm going to. I kind of trail off, and then I'm going to put the crown on my head, just very gingerly, and you could tell that it's something that Saigar loathes. It's just, it's killing him inside right now.
He beams happily at the six of you and say, "You really look like kings."
Or anything but.
Tiny semantics. Thank you. Thank you. I really needed this. It's important to me to know that we're on the same page together. You all get a point of legacy, and the crown has been added to your character sheet.
Oh! Interesting.
Moving up
And
in
then,
the world.
after a moment, it's very clear that the crowds have seen this and incorporated and begin to disperse a little bit. And Vale looks back at you and says, "See? They need you. They need kings. They need a home. Would you trust the lives of all those people with anybody else?"
If possible, and I'll spend a hero point if necessary, Morgaine would use the opportunity to once again speak to the crowd in his horrible style, but this time it's about what the responsibility that these incur. And no longer are they symbols of superiority, but they are symbols of a promise, symbols of burdens that we will now shoulder for the kingdom of Docus.
As you finish your speech, I quickly pull over my hood on my head.
Save
Vale frowns a little bit, and then as you begin to start making your way back from the ledge a little bit, adds to Saigar, just to you personally, says, "Remember, if people don't see you as a leader, this whole journey will have been for nothing. Shay will have died for nothing. All the sacrifices you've all made to get to this point will be for nothing. So it's important that you're a team player." That's all I wanted to say.
No one has to wear it about town, but if you want to keep it in wherever you do your work, it's just as a reminder of the responsibility you now all bear.
No, Morgane's confused. It's the other way around. You do have to wear it when you're around, otherwise people won't know, but you can take it off when you're in private. Or leave it on when you're in private. I'm just being controlling again, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Not what we agreed to, Vale.
What do you mean?
I have some use for this.
We want to try something new, right? We want to spice things up because obviously old hasn't worked on this in the world before in Rios.
You're right. You're completely right. And it doesn't have to be a forever thing. A few months, a few years maybe at most. And then when people get used to it, we do things your way. But for now, familiar. People still think that Theric is a princess, and we have to remove all of these ideas for the place for something new.
Therica's situation is pretty complicated.
I also think we can accomplish that by engaging with them. I don't think a reminder. The crowns are more important to us to remind us of what we need to do.
Yes, that's why they're important to you.
But they aren't needed for the people, because if we're doing our job, they'll recognize us without them.
Yes. And remember, it's a favor to me. I don't ask much of you for my hundreds of years of work and keeping people's lives safe. Just this one tiny thing. So, out of respect for me, your friend, for a while, I expect you to wear it.
Well, at least this will tell people, hey, talk to Saigar about the coin issue.
Exactly! Which I will get to, I promise. I just need a few days of sleep. But then we will fix it.
You still need me to check in with you every 30 minutes.
I was being controlling. This is fine.
Okay, well, we'll let you know if we're leaving, obviously, but I think Warren and Kyvius were mentioning the books would be a great help if you're willing to get those after you have a good rest. That would be very appreciated. And then, if possible, I would love to spend some time with you and actually start learning about who you are
too.
and letting you know who I am.
Yes, I would like that a lot.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it can't be comforting for you that we keep learning about you from not you. You know what I mean?
Yes, but I'm not really complicated, you know? I'm just Erithus' high priest, and that's all there is to it.
You say you're not complicated, but you've been here longer than anyone. Your life to any... I've been alive 22 years. 22 years. Imagine how vast your life probably seems to someone like me.
I guess maybe. Sagar, hang on. I need to... And he walks over and he pulls your hood back down and adjusts it and says, "That's so much better!"
So, is that, out of curiosity, is that why you're trying to make a bunch of kingdoms as the high priest? It's sort of like your duty?
Not a bunch, just the one. But the other ones keep falling apart.
Are they important?
The other kingdoms? No, not really.
You just need the one sort of for Erithus's mission here.
Well, it's not really a mission so much as it is like a present. Like, I want to do something nice for her because of all the nice things she's done for me.
Oh, I kind of get it. Like, because she's about civilization. Is the house sort of like a dome over top, so she doesn't see the present before its time, like rapping?
Sort of, but also we have an audience. It's complicated, but yeah, kind of like rapping, and also because I don't want the next time we reveal this to be tainted by the mistakes of the past.
Tainted by the mistakes of the past. Oh. Oh. Interesting.
This
So,
island is a
1 month,
special place.
right?
More special because you're here. Yes. 1 month.
1 month, guys, and then we'll figure out how we may want
Well,
to
it
represent
worked, and then we'll figure out how long we're going to keep going with it after that 1 month.
Vale.
But no,
Fail.
based on if it's successful, we go for a little while.
Controlling.
We need to work together, right? You'll have a voice in how it looks, but remember, we need to build this together,
Right.
or risk repeating.
Right, and remember that you're doing this for me instead of apologizing. So it's got to be a good apology.
We're doing it for a month, and then we're all going to talk about what it will look like going forward.
Okay, if you say some more, Gain. But I think it's going to be a short conversation. I think you're going to agree with me.
I think once you've seen how we want to run things, you may want something that more coincides with what that will look like. Because your kingdom will outlive us if we do it right.
Okay. If after a month you want to trade this favor in for a different favor, I understand. We'll figure it out then.
Wait, no, the month is the favor. That's what you said.
Morgan, this is so much talking and not a lot of running a kingdom.
I have done a lot of running kingdom today.
That's true. You really have. Some people, and he gives you a look, Sagar, haven't been doing so well. But I believe that they'll do better.
So, is it a favor or an apology, or...
It's a little of both.
Okay.
It's like I'm the 7th member of our team. And not the favorite, but certainly the most adorable. Except for maybe Eerie.
I don't want to lie to you, so 1 month. That's
and
what
then you're just going to stop?
No, we're going to talk about it. We're right now, this is what you say without question from us, because it's our good olive branch to you. And that's what the month is. After that, that's when cohesion starts and we agree on it together.
I get it. You want an exact time frame. Let's say 2 months, and I won't argue. I won't try to talk you into 2 months, and then I'll stop.
I'm fine with that, given everything.
Okay.
No, but it's not just me who failed. So,
We were-
he's gonna point at like Warren.
We were only gone for a day and a half trying to help the kingdom. I mean, I'm certainly sorry we upset you. It's hard to know what to do in these situations.
Well, you say that you're sorry you upset me, but you're kind of acting like you didn't do anything wrong. But it's okay though. This will make up for it.
2
2 months.
Anyone? No one?
I'm just soaking this in. I just don't know what to think about any of it.
Kybius, I think the ruby really brings out your eyes. Eerie, you are such a jokester. Ha!
Saigar's
3.5
got visible
weeks.
veins popping on the side of his head right now, but he's not saying anything.
Nobody here expects Saigar to actually wear it for that long. We're just going to deal with the repercussions of that choice later.
So? One question, clarification. We're going to wear crowns for the next 2 months, but we are now free to travel and secure the kingdom and secure our borders. Would it not be pragmatic to remove it while we were on assignment or mission?
Well, I won't know, obviously, if you do. And if you think that's best, absolutely, yes. But within the kingdom itself, it's important you wear it all the time. For me. And for your people.
You can suck it up for 2 months. And he's gonna whisper to Saigar, he's like, you don't have to be out during the day.
What do you think I am, Batman?
You hear, or you can see that his ear twitches ever so slightly, but he doesn't comment.
Compromise, right?
Right. And you're acting like it's not a present. But remember, this is to help you. I have a lot of experience doing this, and this is technically your 8th day on the job.
That's fair.
Yes. So when you've been doing this for a couple of years, then we can reconvene and talk about things. So 2 months of Crown, 2 years of listening to Vale, and then we figure out different solutions.
2 years of working with Vale and listening to his advice.
Yes.
How about that?
Basically the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
After all, I imagine part of this whole building this thing, part of the message you want to send is helping raise mortals up to have helped you do it, right? Is that part of the message? Or does that not matter? For the Erithus thing.
The important part is that what you build is beautiful and worthy of her. Remember, whenever you make something, say, is this good enough for Vale? Would it be good enough for a god? If you just keep that in mind, it'll be good enough for everyone.
Master Bullywug.
Yeah.
I love when you call me Master Bullywug, Kybius.
Thank you. You have lifetimes of experience that we do not. I wonder, as we consider Dokasur, if any of your projects in the past you would point to as an example of your greatest success before this.
When I made Shokea, it was beautiful. But it wasn't just me. It was everyone on this island. We built it together. And if it wasn't for the fact that when Erithus and all of the gods came to see it, one of the people who lived there was violent and ruined it for everyone. I truly believe that even to this day, it would be one of the greatest civilizations the world has ever seen.
Fascinating. Thank you.
I've made mistakes. The call was one of them. I shouldn't have brought them here, but Shokea never was. Shokea was perfect. And Doka's Ur doesn't roll off the tongue nearly as well, but I'm sure she'll love it just the same.
I mean, for it to have been good enough to invite gods down to see it is a pretty big deal, huh?
Exactly. So like I said, just make sure it's perfect and there won't be any problems. Well, I don't have any wings right now, so I can't. It's a long walk back to my hole.
If you
You
can
can't.
fly, we can turn our backs.
Maybe you can, but I don't know if the entire nation will.
Oh, that's
Good point.
could be. Why don't you be like a little bird?
I could. Birds aren't as smart as bullywugs. It's hard to believe, I know. When you turn into smaller animals, sometimes you get lost and confused.
Oh, okay. Take your word for it.
Mm-hmm. It's always nice talking to you. Remember, let me know where you're going and what you're doing, and I will be leaving tomorrow. So,
You don't have to leave in tomorrow if you think you need more rest.
no, it's all right. There's a
Don't
barrel-shaped
push
butt
yourself.
groove in a pile of gold that's got my name on it. Actually, literally, some of the coins have my. No, it's okay.
Don't push yourself, okay?
No problem.
No kingdom was built in a day.
It's funny you say don't push when we're on the top of a ledge. Okay. Have a good night, everyone.
It's true. It would have been easy. We'd all be dead.
I think it would take more than that to kill you, Warren. Okay. Everybody have a great night. And he begins his slow, froggy walk back down the cliffside, humming da 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 the entire way.
I lean over to Glad and say, "It wouldn't. Cliff would be it."
Moment we stop hearing the song, Morgane's gonna like bend his knees and like hands on the knees, be like, "This is the first time I think I've ever said this, but I'm exhausted."
As soon as we see Vale go off, I take off the crown immediately, and I'm holding it in my hand. And for a second, you're not sure if I'm really tempted to throw it over the side of the cliff. I'm holding it. I grasp it really hard, and then I kind of turn and put it in the back of my quiver.
Saigar, I know you hated that a lot, and I'm sorry we pushed you to it. And I know we committed for 2 months, and I hope you can push your way in doing that, because this is a precarious situation, and we can't make it through if we draw our line in the sand for something like this.
I don't make any promise. I don't make any promises, Morgan. Sorry.
I wouldn't. It's all right, you know. It's a hard, fucking sort of. I mean, it's not easy. You did good though, Morgan. Doing your best to, you know, stand your ground as much as you could.
This is harder than fighting.
Everything's harder than fighting. Fighting's easy.
What a line.
I think we're doing an admirable job of being trampled on.
As people of future generations quote Warren, but get the context completely out of right. There's going to be protesters in the street protesting for peace with Warren's quote, "Everything's easy," or "Everything's harder than fighting."
Yeah,
Warren Agandi.
I sure hope I don't bomb this military leader thing. A lot of my quotes are gonna be.
Aged like milk.
You know, Glad, I appreciate your fresh perspective because you're right. Trampled on's a good way to put things. Everything but literally. I don't really know what else to do, though.
You guys want to head back for the night? Because I don't think I can stand much more of being around or talking to hundreds of people.
sure it'll be fine. You're just trying to implement an entire system of government for 4 separate nations coming together at the same time, one of which is known only for killing monsters.
Oh yes. That's her part, by the way.
I
This whole
mean,
system relies on the fact that we're gonna find people to fill these roles, so there's never one person with all the power. And in essence, what I'm saying is you're in charge of the tournaments.
we're gonna have to figure out like definitions of like, because the fighting ones are easy, but like the rest, I don't really sort of know. I know how Iron Ghasts, like mages, kind of do things, but
Oh yeah. Most important is we all need to just discuss the principles that we will hold our kingdom to and ourselves to, and draft our constitution of conduct.
well, if we want to start walking back, I can. Mine will be the shortest.
What is it? No cheap shots?
Uh, yeah, stuff like that.
Okay. Well, unless anyone else wants to talk, I guess we're walking back.
All of you wearing your crowns, except for Saigar, make your way slowly back to your home. And from the mountain path, you can see that people are still working diligently upon this kingdom. And we're actually going to take a quick 10-minute break here, a little bit longer than usual, because I need to have a shower. My back is killing me, and Benji's going to restart his computer and stuff here. But before we do that, I wanted to utter the phrase that that I've wanted to say for a couple of game sessions now, which is 1 month passes. There's a few eventful things that occur over the course of this 1 month. It's actually not a full month precisely. It is the 31st of the month, 2 or 3 days away from sort of the rollover for the new month and the day of grief, the day that that Valen ascended to godhood. And only thing that is truly revolutionary during this time period, in addition to all of you getting your kingdom in order, is that at one point in time, about 2.5, 3 weeks into the time period, there is a beam of golden light that ascends upward from Epitaph as the ritual of the Ka is completed and their Foundling Stone is shattered and used for the ritual to further the spread of the Great Sands. You have also been told repeatedly by the militia, which has no name yet, but Warren's in charge of it, that not only have they managed sort of secure passage through the Stair of Penance for when, like, people arrive, but there are multiple outposts that are being built around sort of the entrance to the stairs by the Ka, as they now in fact do know precisely where you are located. There has been no other sign or contact of any of them, although you've heard people who have been traveling from High Helm have told you that the city is essentially ruins. Everyone who remained there was taken to the Ka lands, and the city itself is a ghost town now, abandoned.
What point did that happen?
That was a slow process.
Did the people that were coming to our kingdom make it out, though?
We are going to pick up with the arrival of Epitaph and Iron Gast stepping through the tapestry 1 month later. People went from Epitaph to Iron Gast, then from Iron Gast through the tapestry, if I understand it correctly.
Yes, I'm going to assume then that the this is only important for Warren's brain.
Okay.
It was never meant to affect anything. That Warren's thing where he had basically like one mannequin that he could potentially go to, like put an epitaph for Erie's ability to like swap back and forth. It didn't change anything.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, I'm with you.
That's good to know.
Okay, just checking. Yeah, no, that is very true. The city of Epitaph is also basically a ghost town, abandoned as well, but there are still some people who remain there despite the fact that it is now under basically military occupation by the Ka. And of course, High Helm and Epitaph no longer possess those names. They are part of the Ka.
Oh,
And I'm gonna
get any
Good.
word from Epitaph.
We're gonna go ahead and take like a quick 10-minute break here, as mentioned, guys, and I'll see you back right before the turn of the hour.
All right.
Because now I can ask, are you guys all okay with my government?
I am.
We will see.
Oh man, no message
Tried
from.
to do something that wasn't democracy, and just like, hey, democracy, yay!
Are you
No.
okay with my government?
No word from Latroud or nothing. Man.
All right, I'm gonna restart the stream here while I restart my computer.